This is lesson 3.3, solving rational equations. So when we solve rational equations, we'll always start by finding all of the excluded values first. And we'll always check these against our answers to see if any will divide by 0. The reason we do this is because in math, we cannot divide by 0. So if any of those values in the denominator will equal 0, then there is no solution. So an equation with a single fraction on each side is called a proportion. And you may wish to solve some of these by cross-multiplying, but sometimes that can be very complicated and tedious. So instead, we can solve all rational equations using the method of clearing fractions with the least common denominator, which we're going to abbreviate to the LCD. So for the first example, these already have like terms as our bases, but we can still write out that the least common denominator is going to be x minus 4. Because the denominators are x minus 4, we know that x cannot equal 4, because 4 minus 4 will equal 0, and we can't divide by 0. So when we clear fractions, we'll multiply both sides by the least common denominator. So x minus 4 over 1 times 4x over x minus 4 is equal to x minus 4 over 1 times 2x plus 8 over x minus 4. So now we can cancel these out, and we're left with 4x equals 2x plus 8. We'll subtract this 2x on both sides. So now we have 2x equals 8. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 4. But our excluded value says that x cannot equal 4, therefore this doesn't work and we have no solution. Now for our second example, the least common denominator here is going to be 5x squared. We have our 5x and an x squared. So the least common denominator has to be 5x squared. And the value of x that will make this equal 0 is 0. So we know that x cannot be 0. That's our excluded value. Now that we found our least common denominator, we can multiply every term in this equation by that over 1. 5x squared over 1 multiplied by 6 over 5x is equal to 5x squared over 1 multiplied by x plus 1 over x squared plus 5x squared over 1 over x over 1 over. With our least common denominator, we can go and multiply it by all the terms. So we have 6 over 5x is equal to 5x squared over 1 multiplied by x plus 1 over x squared plus 5x squared over 1 times 1 over x. So this will cancel to x times 6, so 6x is equal to, now this x squared will cancel with this x squared, so now we just have 5 times x plus 1 plus this x will cancel the square here plus 5x. We'll distribute this 5 to both terms, so we have 6x equal to 5x plus 5 plus 5x. 5x plus 5x you can combine to 10x plus 5. we'll subtract on both sides to isolate the variable to get negative 4x equals 5. Divide both sides by negative 4, and x equals negative 5 over 4. Here's a couple more examples. So for this third example, our least common denominator is going to equal 6 x plus 4 times x plus 3. We get this x plus 3 from factoring out here x plus 3. Now our excluded values are going to be x equal to 4 and x is equal to negative 3. Sorry, negative 4 and negative 3. So we're going to multiply each term by our least common denominator. So 6 times x plus 4 times x plus 3 over 1 times 5 over 2x. Actually, let's write this as 2 over x plus 3 minus 6 times x plus 4 x plus 3 over 1 multiplied by 1 over 6. And that's going to be equal to 6 times x plus 4 times x plus 3 multiplied by 2 over x plus 4. So I downsized that a bit so we have a little bit more room to work with, and we can go ahead and start canceling out parts of the equation. So here, 2 goes into 6 3 times. We have this common term of x plus 3. We can cancel this out. And on the next term, 6 and 6 will cancel out. X plus 4 will cancel out, and x plus 4 will cancel out. So now let's rewrite this. Three times 5 is 15. 15 times x plus 4 minus x plus 4 times x plus 3 equals 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times x plus 3. Now we can distribute. So this 15x and 15 times 4 minus, and now we'll FOIL this, x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 3 is 12. Now remember that there's a whole negative outside that bracket, but we'll come back to this in a bit. Now 12 distributed to x is 12x plus 36. Now this negative will distribute across all the terms here, so we'll rewrite 15x plus 60 minus x squared minus 7x minus 12x equals, or minus 12 equals 12x plus 36. Now we can combine these like terms, so 15 and negative 7 will get 8x, 60 and negative 12 be 48, and this negative x squared at the top equals 12x plus 36. Now we can isolate our variables. Subtract 12x on both sides. We have negative x squared minus 4x. We'll subtract 36 on both sides. Plus 12 equals 0. We'll multiply both sides of the equation by negative 1, just to get rid of the negatives. So now I have x squared plus 4x minus 12 equals 0. Now we can factor out x. Two terms that are going to add up to positive 4 and multiply to negative 12. Positive 6 and negative 12 and negative 2. So now x equals negative 6 and x equals 2. If any of these were our excluded solutions, we cross them out, but luckily they are not, so these are the proper solutions. For our last example, our least common denominator equals x minus 4, so x cannot be positive 4, so least common denominators. So we'll go ahead and multiply each term by the least common denominator. Now we can cancel out like terms. So now we're left with 1 plus 2 times x minus 4 equals 2. So we can distribute this 2 to the x and the negative 4. 1 plus 2x minus 8 equals 2. We can add 8 to both sides. We have 1 plus 2x equals 10. We can subtract 1 on both sides. 2x equals 9. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 9 over 2. And 9 over 2 is not our excluded value, so